once again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it because of your busy schedule.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Myself and Mr. Peter Obi. Please keep in mind that because the interview has been delayed for some hours, we won't have the same amount of time that we were hoping to have as earlier agreed. So I'm going to start out by asking him some questions, and then after that, you guys will be able to join in to ask some questions. So unfortunately, I won't be able to ask all the questions that I have, and I don't think we'll be able to take everybody that joins us. Mr. Koledowo back there, please zoom into us a little bit because I see a lot of headrooms. So please zoom into us whenever you have the time, so that people can see us much better. So I'm just going to go straight into it. First of all, there has been a lot of expectations right now. A lot of Nigerians are tired of what is happening in the country. Things have never been this bad in Nigeria. And people are tired. And a lot of people have been saying that you are the man for the job. As you are aware, people are campaigning for you online, left and right. And I'm just going to start out by asking you, and I know you've been traveling a lot. How do you feel about all these high expectations on you?
Well, let me start by apologizing to the people that have been waiting for several hours now. My flight out of Toronto was scheduled for midday, and it was delayed for 2 hours. That was the reason. So I sincerely apologize for that and everything. And I thank you for the honor of inviting me and being part of this program. And to the viewers, I also thank them for participating. For me, we just want to do a simple thing. We have a country called Nigeria. We have no other country except this one. And we want it to be like every other country where we have responsible, committed leadership that is trying to do the right thing for the country. That's all. It's a very simple thing. It is not something that is too sophisticated. We just want to do the right things. We don't have a country where the leaders are focused doing the right thing. The citizens are participating. That's all.
So the people that have these expectations on you, they should be rest assured that you will deliver, right?
Well, what else can we do? I've done it in the States, and I believe that we need it now. You said things have never been this bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have over 100 million people living in poverty.
Yeah.
Millions of young people in their productive age doing nothing, and you do something else. We must get those young people to be productive. It's a win-win for the country. You have a huge country of 200 million people where their productive capacity, what they're producing, is not up to 30% of what is expected of them.
So, sir, since you are all for the challenge today, I'm going to ask you a series of questions
Yes.
in different categories. The first category would be what I call questions from the lazy young Nigerians, lazy youth, like Buhari called us. He called us lazy young Nigerians. And then, of course, I'll ask you some questions from people who feel unheard, the unheard, people whose voices are not heard. And then I will ask you the last question from who I would like to call the enemies of progress, or however you want to call them, people that may not vote for you, but you will still be their president if you win this election. And so the first question from the people that I refer to as lazy young Nigerians. Right now we have more than 109 million internet users in Nigeria. Young people in Nigeria are very tech savvy, which is why you will see in the news that some young people are into Yahoo and so on. While that's wrong, it also tells you what Nigerian youth are capable of if given the right opportunity. If that is channel
completely the
to the
same
right,
talent.
yes, exactly. And so my first question would be, how do you plan on channeling this tech savvy, these skills that young Nigerians have into creating jobs?
Well, let me first tell you, they are not lazy people.
Of course.
Nigeria have one of the best, hardworking, and talented youths.
That was a satire making
That
fun of
if
Buhari.
if you direct them very well, the same talent, the same energy you think they use in doing wrong thing can be turned into doing the right thing. It happened everywhere. In India, give an example, when I lived in the UK, Indians was being seen as people who were smart, who were doing the wrong thing. It was the same people that are today dominating the ICT world. Same talent, same energy. And that can happen with Nigeria. And that's why I said what we have need is a competent leadership that understands how to channel this energy and hard work into production.
Okay.
And that is the future of the country.
Okay. So how
Countries are not measured by the amount of natural resources they have, but the productive capacity of our citizens, especially the young ones. And we have them in abundance. And these are the people you want to take the country and give it back to them so they can do the right things. It's a win-win for everybody.
So how do you plan on using that to create jobs? Knowing that Nigerian young people are really into tech. By the way, when I said lazy Nigerians, I'm making fun of what Buhari said.
What is when it says it is critical. Today, all over the world, the biggest machine for job creation is micro, small, medium enterprises. And this is where the young people are. Startups all over the world. They're the people you need. If you go to every part of the developing world, especially whether it's in Brazil, whether you go to the Asian countries, I want to show you countries that have huge population. This is the engine. China, the mighty China, today, with a population of about 1.4 billion people living in China, 60% of your population, about 60% is supposed to be working class. So for China, it's about 800 million. Out of this, 60% of the job are within the micro, small, medium enterprises. 60%. In fact, in urban areas, it's about 80%. So imagine 60% of 800 million is about 5/4, 6/4.
So sad, but I know we don't have much time. I'm just wondering, a lot of these young people have been campaigning for you on social media, on ground. They are leading marches and so on. But to be honest with you, one of the biggest problems that young people are facing in Nigeria is unemployment.
That's
And
what I
so
said,
my question is, can we expect, jobs? We're not talking about like government jobs,
No,
but
no,
like jobs in the tech world.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you, that if China have 800 million and 60% are within the bracket of the micro, small, medium enterprises, which is 540 million. These businesses are mentioned, or enterprises are mentioned, are mainly businesses controlled by young Chinese people.
So
The same thing is in Indonesia. These are huge countries. 90% of the jobs are within this small, micro, small, medium
are you
enterprises.
saying
So
young
the
people can
youth. So what
expect
you're going to
that?
do is to channel resources and training into this youth.
Okay.
You know, for example, if you look at what Tony Elumelu Foundation is doing, he's training some youths and giving them grant to start business. And he's been able to show that for every 5,000, for every youth that he gave $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
after a year, they're employing about 20 persons.
Okay.
So imagine what it would have been if, for example, Nigeria as a country with a debt of several $billion now has decided to spend maybe $25 billion on these youths. They would have been able to create
So
5 million of them. And if 5 million of them, let's say about 80%, which is 4 million, was able to create just half of what Tony Elumelu Foundation said they would do,
okay.
10 jobs, that's 40 million.
See,
Who have unemployment today?
I understand all these examples you have
Yes.
given, like from different countries, but now I'm talking in terms of Nigerian young people, many of whom are watching you right now.
Okay.
So, are you saying that this is your plan for them? I don't know. Could you just look at the camera and
No,
in
my
30
plan,
seconds?
my plan for them is
Yes.
first, we will focus, because that's the only people, we will focus on youth development, training, and access to fund.
So, in terms of tech, though, can they
Same thing.
expect for you to?
It's the future.
It is. We all agree
So we
on
were
that,
going to support them.
to get into tech and stuff. So this is a promise that young
Not just
people
tech,
can.
get into all sorts of tech,
Mhm.
other businesses. It's not just tech,
Okay.
other businesses. We must explore the entrepreneurial spirit of this youth.
Definitely, we must, and that's why
And
we.
to do it is simple: train and support them, access to funding.
So a follow-up question on that would be the fact that electricity is nothing to write home about right now, and that was why I started off asking about the question of tech. We can really do much without electricity, and I know you went to Egypt to do an understudy of the electricity sector. At the same time, though, we know that Egypt didn't just get where they are today. It took them some years to get to where they are. Do you have a timeline at all, having been to Egypt and having seen what they're doing, in terms of when Nigerians can expect some kind of relief when it comes to electricity? That's the first question about that.
Well, I've said it. For me, power is something we will do everything possible to change the situation. It is totally unacceptable that a country like Nigeria, with 200 million people, can depend on 4,000
Megawatt.
megawatts of power being generated, transmitted, and distributed. that can easily, within the shortest possible time,
How much time are we talking about? Because I know you must have
in
had,
Egypt,
you must have a plan.
in 5 years.
Okay, so in the next
In 5 years, Egypt was able to move from 20,000 to over 50,000. Vietnam did the same thing from 36,000 to 70 something thousand. That shows it's possible. So for me, I said it and I tweeted it yesterday. We must be able to achieve 200% of that. So we must be able to move from 4,000 or 5,000 as the case may be. I know it's 4,000 they talk about, but I even use 5,000. We must be able, within the shortest possible time, move from 4 or 5,000 to about between 12 and 15,000.
Okay, so sir,
it could be more,
okay,
but this is the least
that
you can do within the shortest possible time. And we're going to do it by any means possible, as long as, but it must happen. Because you can't talk about issues of supporting micro, small businesses without power. You can't talk about increasing your manufacturing without power. So this has to go on simultaneously as you're trying to train, support the youth. You're also simultaneously doing this.
So sir, because when we agreed to do this interview, they had told me 2 hours, but now because of time constraint, they're trying to make it, reduce it down to like half hour. So I just want to beg of you that, going forward, because you are making references to like some other countries and some things that we all already know and we all already agree on. So just so that we can get in as many people, don't take this the wrong way, please.
No.
But I want to be able to get in as many people as possible. If you can now repeat those things, and I'll tell you when we get there. Don't take offense. It's just right now we
but
have.
But it's always better to show an example where it worked.
They watch your interviews a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
Right now we have more than 6,000 people watching. Thank you to everybody because it's in the middle of the night right now in Nigeria. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching and you have not subscribed, even Mr. Peter Obi is watching you on Plasma TV, press the subscribe button while you are watching and like this so that other people can watch. But that question, sir, was I believe that after you went to Egypt and you were inspired by everything you saw, I believe when you got home, you must have scribbled a plan at least based on what you've seen.
That's what I said. I tweeted it
so, in terms of timeline, when can Nigeria start feeling some kind of the impact of you going to Egypt and so on? When can Nigeria start expecting some kind of relief?
It took Egypt
5 years, you said.
5 years.
So are you saying that if you become president
within that timeline,
that time frame?
I tweeted it yesterday. We should be able to do 200 times.
200 times of what Egypt?
What we have today
in Nigeria. We don't have the structure that Egypt has, though.
No. I said we will be able, within the same timeline, to increase our power generation, distribution by 200%.
By 200%. Okay, so Mr. Peter Obi is saying that if he becomes the president of Nigeria in 2023, 5 years after in 2028, we should have 200 times more than the power that we have
what we are generating now, transmitting and distributing now, must be 200 times more.
Okay, so that's a promise that we can hopefully hold you up to if you become president.
It will be catastrophic if I don't deliver that.
If you don't deliver, so that is a promise that you're banking on.
Yes.
And the last question that I want to ask from the people that the so-called lazy young Nigerians, lazy youth, we are not lazy, by the way. We feel offended that a president will say that.
In the same timeline, the same lazy youths, people will see their impact.
Our impact, right? So the last question I want to ask from young Nigerians is the fact that growing up in Nigeria, you enjoyed great education. Things were so much better in your time, and your children they studied abroad, and so you of all people, you know the importance of great education, and especially in a great environment and so on. Right now, there are thousands of young Nigerians, hundreds of thousands, that are forced to stay home since February of this year. Some of them have lost more than a whole academic year. And we've had so many unfortunate incidences that happen to students because they are not in school where they should be. Some should have graduated by now, but they have not. And just so you know, a lot of them are watching you right now, and a lot of them are campaigning for you on social media, on ground, going to matches for you, saying they believe in Peter Obi, they believe in Peter Obi. Do you mind just talking to the young Nigerians who have been forced to be home? What would your government do differently than the governments that we've had when it comes to education in Nigeria?
When I was governor, there was also strike. That lasted for a while. The difference is that I was talking with ASU people, I was talking with the leadership, because in our university, every day, we were meeting in different places until it was resolved. And resolving that made it possible that today, Anambra State University is one of the universities that are not on strike. And I can tell you, this strike has shown that it is time to look into the overall funding of our universities.
Okay.
And come in with combinations that have been available everywhere in the world, which is government funding,
Okay.
loans, student loans, university being allowed to do some consulting to earn money.
Okay.
There must be combinations. And it is time that the federal government gives some level of autonomy to the universities. So we're going to do everything possible. But overall, we're going to do more in terms of education. As you know, Nigeria have a very low human capital. The more educated your country is, the better your development.
Okay.
And you can't talk about being classified as a developing country that is doing well without human capital. It's the foundation. You can't even build physical capital without human capital. So we're going to do a lot. Today we're very low, especially in the tertiary level, where the average tertiary intake globally is 38%, we're 9%. So we're going to do everything aggressive. I will not allow them to be out of school for 6 months.
So, sir,
It will not happen.
I love your responses, but they're watching you. Could
Yeah.
you be more you keep saying we are going to do a lot.
I said, I'm not there, so I cannot. I'm just saying,
Oh, but
if I was president,
I'm sure you
I
have
said,
a
if I was
plan.
president, there's no way schools will be closed this long.
Okay. So, but I'm pretty sure that you've thought about these young people.
I feel sad. I've made comments about it,
yes,
but I don't want to.
And beyond talking, I'm pretty sure you've thought about them and you have a plan for them.
The plan I have for them is that if I was there,
Uh-huh.
schools will not be closed for this long. But I'm not going to.
Long, or schools will not be closed at all.
It will not be closed at all because there was no reason.
Okay.
But assuming it happened, we will sit down and make sure soonest
they're in class. But beyond that, though, what
and
about
I will make sure, I will insist. We want people to go into school and graduate when they're supposed to graduate, leave when they're supposed to leave.
Okay, so you're
Schools must come
promising,
back.
you're
Things
giving
must work the way it's working in every other country.
so you're giving a promise that if you were to be Nigerian president, Nigerian students can be rest assured that once they get in, they
The
will
rest
know
assured,
when they're getting out.
remember what I said. We'll look into the overall funding and make it more effective.
Okay. So, and what about the studying environment as well? A lot of our schools are dilapidated, and
It's all inclusive. That's why I said we will fund it aggressively within our resources and then allow some level of different funding. Because quite frankly, today we must move away from our funding method.
so the funding method that we have right now is part of.
No, it's not part of it.
Okay.
If we have
So-
student funding, if we have students loan and everything, the universities will be able to generate more money, run on their own, even increase their capacity. Government is over-involving in the management of education in Nigeria.
And while we're talking about strike, it's not just the lecturers that go on strike every now and then. Doctors sometimes, and it's so sad because today a lot of Nigerian doctors are leaving the country. In fact, they're living in drones, and nurses as well. So I'm wondering, there's a huge brain drain when we're talking about Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are, well, you're here in America. You've seen a lot of Nigerian doctors, nurses, and so on. The same thing in the UK.
I spoke to people
wow.
in Canada yesterday, and I'll tell you what I told them.
Okay.
No, go on.
So, but my question is, because I do know that when you were governor of Anambra State, doctors were also on strike in your state
For a long time.
for almost a year.
For a long time.
To be specific, they were
For a
on
long
strike
time.
for a year. So, what happened then that you were not able to get doctors back? Because that affected a lot of people that were sick.
No, it didn't affect a lot of people that were sick. We had issue. The issue we had in Anambra State was that then there was an issue where our hospitals were not functional. It's issues I don't want to discuss. We tried to fund health facility, but it was not working. There was strike in education too. We tried to fund our secondary school and primary school. It wasn't working. So we decided that we have to have alternatives. When I got to Anambra State, there was no single school of nursing that is accredited. No school of midwifery. No school of health technology. All this were not there. The hospitals were in bad condition. The same was in the school. So we're putting money and we're not seeing the result. We even bought ambulances that disappeared. So I said, no, we have to have an alternative. So in schools, we return schools to the churches, the original owners, and say we'll fund it. And of course, we saw the result. We moved from number 26 to number 1. Same thing happened in hospitals. We built 10 school of nursing, midwifery, and health technology, but not through government now. For example, I'm going to tell you now, in Iyenu, being owned by Church of Nigeria, they have School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, and School of Health Technology. We funded and resuscitated it, and it was accredited. We went to Onitsha. On Waterside, being owned by Catholic Church and Boromeo, we had School of Nursing, School of Midwifery. We resuscitated it. They accredited and they're functional now. We went to Ades, let's go in Joseph Ades. They have School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. It's owned by Catholic Church. We resuscitated it and it's working. We went to Our Lady of Lourdes Nihala, School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. We resuscitated it and it's functional. We even worked with one of the Church of Nigerian bishops that were very, very committed in health issues, Bishop Ikako, and set up in Amich Hospital, in Build School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. These are schools that are there. So in doing this, I had issues with the established bodies because they saw that I was now doing things through the what they call private sector. But for me, the result was important, and that brought some issues and brought some stress. But since it was settled, everything is working. I built the fastest teaching hospital ever. I don't know by now, but at the time I was governor, by the time I left, I built the fastest teaching hospital ever in Nigeria. There might be records somewhere, but the Nigerian Medical Council told me this is the fastest. The Anambra State University Teaching Hospital, Nauka. It was set up under 2 years. So in doing strikes, people don't study why people. During my governorship, I had strikes with
The doctors.
teachers, NUT, doctors, different groups, but it was trying to change them from being what they used to be to what it should be. When you bring change, you have enemy, all those who live off the old order.
But the doctors at that time said that they were on strike because they believed that they were the least paid in the country. That was what the Anambra doctors said at the time.
There were. I said, I don't want to discuss yesterday.
I'm not discussing. I'm also trying to move forward.
There was a lot of issues. Anybody can claim anything. The teachers said they were very uncareful. That's why they went on strike. But today, the doctors are there, the teachers are there.
So,
and Anambra has done better. Go and check. Anambra started implementation of NDG. NDG goes on 3 phases: health, education, and pulling people out of poverty. And we're number 1 by the time I left in 2015. So if the health side was bad, go today, you see hospitals and everything. They were not. There were a lot of issues.
Okay.
The issues are not to be.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
and
you
do
so
further
much for
investigation.
going into that. You see, I didn't interrupt. You gave us a whole background info. But first of all, you didn't let me finish the question before you started, which was great. I'm happy to hear the background info. By the way, thank you for this energy because I know you're very tired.
No problem.
You just came back. Guys, if you appreciate the energy he's giving in this interview, please let him know in the comment section. His people will let him know later. Tell him that you appreciate the fact that despite the long trip, he still has this energy. But my question was, it took a whole year to get the doctors back to work that time in Anambra State. The only reason I'm asking is we want to know if you should become the president. And a lot of people watching you, some of them are doctors. And some of them are campaigning for you. They love you, but they want to know what your government will be like in your time if doctors are agitating, because I know you gave the reason why you believe that doctors were on strike in Anambra, but the Anambra doctors at the time said something else, that they said that it was because they were the least paid in the country. So if you should become the president, should we expect something different? Even if you want to negotiate with doctors, with teachers, that it shouldn't take a whole year to get something like that.
If I'm the president today, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Everybody in Nigeria, not just doctors, I believe, in quote, is not well paid.
Everybody's not well paid.
Everybody.
Okay.
So it's not only doctors.
Okay.
But what we should do first is to move the country from where we are today, which I say is consumptive, to production. We have to be productive. So you don't come and say, oh, I'm not paid well, but everybody's not. We need to be more productive. Because today the country is not productive. And that is why we're having problems. So if the more we move, police is not well paid, army is not well paid, doctors are not well paid, teachers are not well paid. People, if you check it, what is minimum wage? 30,000 naira. What is 30,000 naira in the real value of money today? So what we need to do, a loaf of bread is 1,000 naira. So if a man who has a family, a wife and 2 kids decides that he's not going to do anything, not paying rent, not eating anything, just buy one bread, that's what you do. So what we need to do is, we know this is not what it should be, but it is a function of lack of production. The more the country is productive, the more it creates job, the more people get job, the more revenue the government can own, the more it can be able to do more.
So is it safe to say that if you become president, everybody will be heard fairly? That's where I'm trying to.
It's not fairly. All of us will work out to be productive. You don't go stay in your house and say, "Oh, I'm not well paid." Where is it? God is not going to give us money from heaven. He's not going. We can't go into church and pray and say, "God, bring the money." What you've seen in America is that people are productive. So nobody prints money and touches anybody. What is happening in Nigeria is that everybody says, "I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled." We're entitled to something. But the first thing we're entitled to is to be productive. That's why I said, those young people, I didn't say I'm going to dash them money. I said we're going to train them, get them to be productive by supporting them, by creating jobs. It's not government creating jobs. They're creating jobs. Here in America, it's businesses, enterprises that create jobs, not government. So let people not think, "Oh, I'm going to stay one place and be made essay or made this and no. We're not going to create real jobs that add to the society. The society as it is today. Looking at Nigeria, we have vast land in the north that is uncultivated and people are looking for food. We're in California. This is the biggest state in America. They're not waiting to share the money from oil from Texas. In fact, Texas, where the oil is not number one, it's not number two, it's not number three, it's number four. Here is number one.
So
this place alone is 3.3 trillion economy, 8 times Nigeria. What do they have? Agriculture and knowledge.
So I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I will let the viewers ask you a few questions. But before we finish that, the brain drain in Nigeria, you didn't say anything about it.
I told you the brain drain will eventually be brain gain.
Brain gain.
Yes.
Okay.
Those people who are living today, they will be the engine we will use. Tomorrow, when we bring stability in the country.
Okay, and you have a system in place.
That's what happens everywhere in Asia. They are the ones that will be the first people to come home and invest in the country because they made resources abroad. All you're seeing today in China, India, everything started by those who left when things were bad. They came now to use the cheap labor. I was telling them in Canada yesterday. I said today, those who left the country are in double. Their situation is worse. They're in double whammy. They've left their country because their country cannot give. They don't have. There's no hope for them there. That's why they left. Where they are, they work hard. They earn money. They now use the money to do social welfare
in their country.
To those people at home. But if the place is stable and working, you know what they will do? They will be investors in their country. Those who are there will use the resources to be productive.
And they don't have to depend on.
They won't depend on them. They will earn money. When I lived in the UK, I lived in the UK for 10 years. My neighbor had a factory from Asia. had a factory in Asia, and it was even in the UK. He made money in the UK. He borrowed money from the bank in the UK, invested in a factory in his place. They were producing things which he was exporting into the UK. So he has a factory in his place, employing nearly over 500 persons. At the same time, created job in his place. At the same time, making money out of it. That's what we need to do.
A lot of Nigerians are watching you from abroad right now, by the way.
So those people that have left, that's what we expect them to do. By the time we put necessary things, secure the place.
Security, number one. Electricity.
Right? Secure the place. Bring, these are intangible assets. Secure the place. Ensure the rule of law is law and order, which is critical. Because everybody wants to invest in a secured environment where there's rule of law. By the time you provide this tool, train the human capital that is required for production, bring in power, which is most critical infrastructure. They will come back to invest.
Okay. So thank you so much for that. While I'm asking the last question, I want to urge you guys that I will post a link in the comment section for you to join to ask him questions. He needs to go for the event of the evening, so please don't be offended if we don't get to you. But that was a promise that I made to you guys, and I'm willing to. So the time that you guys spend with him is now in his hands. He's tired, so we have to. But he's being nice.
Let's go. No
he's in great spirits. But I really would like for him to answer as many of you as possible. My last question for you, Mr. Peter, will be actually I had a lot of questions, but hey, they cut down the time of the interview, so. But there's no way I cannot talk about this. Right now, sir, there are thousands of people watching you that will tell you that Nigeria has happened to them. There's something we call the Nigerian factor. There are people who have been victims of kidnapping, or people who have had to raise emergency funds because their loved ones was kidnapped. There are people who raised money, who gave money to kidnappers, and on top of all of that, their loved ones were killed. There was a Nigerian man that went home recently, and the day he arrived in Nigeria was the day he was kidnapped. There are people who have been victims of road accidents, not because the accident could have been prevented, but because the road was bad. And there are people, me included, who have lost loved ones because of all these Nigerian factors. And as a matter of fact, I know people who have lost limbs, people who feel like they can't travel by road anymore, even though they can afford air travel. And some of them are watching you today. Could you please talk to them? Can you give them some kind of hope in terms of if you were to become a president, what can they expect?
Let me tell you, we're not going to change everything overnight. What we want to do, like every other country, is that we want to start doing things. That's how I began. Doing things in the right way, like every other country. Nigerians, we need to start rekindling the faith. Today we have Nigeria without having Nigerians. We don't have it. We start rekindling their faith in their country. And we can only do that by giving them hope. And that hope is that we're doing the right things. We're not going to reconstruct all the road in one day because we don't have the resources. What we're going to do is that we're going to bring back hope by doing things the right way. And what is that doing things the right way? We're going to have zero tolerance for corruption, so people will stop from stealing public money. Because that's the first thing you need to kill to bring back entrepreneurship. people are not entrepreneurs in a corrupt system.
And you're talking about security, right?
That's I'm just telling you. You're going to bring back. It's not part of it. You're going to bring back professionalism and everything. When you start with all this, you're going to use the small resources you have to tackle security. And there's two ways to do that. You start pulling people out of poverty. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. And then you're going to bring in more manpower into your security agencies and support them, equip them properly. And doing so, because you now have resources you have saved from cutting down on cost of governance and ensuring that corruption is stopped, you're going to use it more effectively to be able to secure the country. Put it under areas that will help development.
So before we can get to security, we would first of all deal with corruption.
You deal with all this simultaneously. There's everything I've mentioned here. You're not going to leave this and do this.
But you do.
For example, the place is not secure today. You're dealing with it. You're dealing with corruption. But I'm just telling you areas where you are. Because if you say, I'm going to deal with security, people say, oh, there's no resources.
But you do have a plan in terms of the security issue right now in Nigeria.
Completely.
Do you mind sharing with the people what they can expect?
The things you can share, when it comes to
whatever
security.
You can
but
share.
I can tell you,
because I
can tell you today, the insecurity we have in Nigeria today can be dealt with decisively.
Definitely,
it's not something you need to waste time in dealing with.
And we don't want to waste time either.
And to tell you further, there's no reason why Nigeria should not have state police.
Okay, is that one of the things?
It's one of it.
I'll turn the camera to my father that is trying to tell him.
It's not just.
So
there's so many other things you need
police
to do.
Could be one of the things that you would.
I've said before, the more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality.
What I got from what you are saying, sir, just so that people are clear, state police could be a possibility in terms of how you deal with insecurity.
It's not a possibility. I said immediately.
Okay.
You'll be decisive. You need to increase the personnel within our security agencies and equip them properly. You need to have state police. It's not possible. It will come into effect. State policing, because you need to hold all the governors and leaders of the state responsible for what happens in their state. They will in turn hold the local government chairman, community leaders responsible. I've done it as the governor. When I was governor, government of Anambra State was directly paying the vigilantes in all the communities. And all the traditional leaders were being held responsible.
I'm just telling you things that I'm picking up.
Saying. All the villagers were being held responsible.
Village heads.
For what happens in their village. So there's so many. We need to have a multi-level security outfit to be able to deal with this issue. The governor of Katsina State have just said it, that in the entire Katsina State, there's only 5,000 police. And out of these 5,000, that you go to a police station, you have 30 of them with only 10 guns. The entire Nigerian police force is about 320,000. In a country of 200 million
people.
This
would help us with terrorism as well. This would help us with terrorism as well.
I said in a country of 200 million people, you have only 320,000 police.
That's wrong.
Egypt, with 100 million, have over 1 million.
Wow.
and you have 320. At this 320,000, you know that about 50 or 70,000 actually maybe people that are guiding us politicians. So you need to increase that aggressively, and you need to support the states to do similar thing. So imagine in Katsina State, where the governor said they have only 5,000. Imagine the additional 5,000 or 10 there, and they're armed. The security will be different.
Okay, so thank you so much. I really need to start letting people in. Mr. Koledo back there, thank you. You've been amazing. Please start letting people in, starting with the first person is Rudolph Okonko, whom I'm sure you probably know is one of the biggest critics. I'm just reading the names of the people that are already in
Yeah.
the studio. Please
And
don't sign out, even if you are not seeing your picture yet. But Abuchi Oi Ola and Chukwudala, Joshua, Ahana, Judah,
is there some,
Osamudiane, you
is,
all are in the studio. Grace and Eta,
is there somebody's my
and one of your biggest critics.
no
He's
no
from your
no
state.
nobody's my
Please.
critics. Everybody they're all contributing.
Yeah, exactly.
Critics are people who also help you to do better. So
Please and please, you only have 10 seconds. I'm sorry. Just go straight to your point. Say your first name. Go straight to whatever you want to ask. I beg of you. The man is tired.
no
We
problem.
appreciate his time and the event. He's enjoying it. What they are trying to drag him out since. He says he's enjoying the interview, sir. Go and start the program. He will come later. So please, once you get in the studio, sir, yes, please go straight to your question and please don't drag anything. Rudolph Okonko, you have 10 seconds.
Governor, thank you so much for
So,
joining us.
okay. Can
Governor,
you hear him? Okay.
Governor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate this time to talk to you.
What's your question, Rudolph?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So my question is very simple. Most people in Nigeria, they believe that the country is broken. The country is like a car that is that knocked engine, and it doesn't need a new driver. That it needs to be fixed. The engine needs to be fixed. But you want to be the driver of the car that the engine is knocked. Let me read you what your hero Chukwuemeka Odumegwu said. I know. We have to frame it very well. The Federation, this was in 1969. He said that the Federation of Nigeria is as corrupted, oppressive and irreformable as the Ottoman Empire was in Eastern Europe over a century ago. And in contrast, the Federation of Nigeria, in the form it was constituted by the British, cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, be considered an African necessity. Yet we are being forced to sacrifice our very existence as a people to the integrity of that ramshackle creation that has no justification either in history or in the freely expressed wishes of the people. So the question is this: was Ojukwu wrong in 1969? Do you think that Nigeria, as is currently constituted, is necessary, is working for people? And do you think that we need to get a new driver instead of changing the engine of this car that is not?
I don't understand
Rudolph,
what he said, but you do.
Rudolph, you know, I was the person who said that this car has an engine knob
I didn't want to say that. I
and
wanted to say it. Good.
require that changing a driver will not make a difference.
Yes. And what
It
changed?
was my own position and remained my position. But what I keep saying is that we don't need to keep the driver that knocked the engine or the driver that knocked the engine. We need to change the driver that will even take it to a workshop where it is going to be fixed. Because even if you see vehicles that are being towed, there's somebody there managing to turn the wheels until you get to the mechanic center. Otherwise, it's going to be worse, you know.
So that's what you are
we
going to do.
even need to send it to the mechanic workshop. Somebody needs to be driving it so that we don't have a situation where it will go from engine knock to the car have done a full-blown accident. But that, what is position you've taken, and I said, Ojukwu was my leader. And on his last days, he believed that with competent leadership, you can start repairing the situation. Like Achebe said, there's nothing wrong with Nigeria. The air is good, the food is good, the environment is good. God blessed us. What we are lacking is to have leadership, character, competence, capacity, and commitment to building a better Nigeria. Every country is as diverse as we are. Even some are more diverse as we are. Big countries like Indonesia are more diverse. Even if we talk about religion, the biggest Muslim country is Indonesia. So why are they doing well and everything? And today in Nigeria, you know that no part of Nigeria is doing well. I've asked people who think it's about tribe, why is there Katsina not the safest place in Nigeria? Why can't we drive to Kaduna by road or by air, anything? Is it because someone from southwest or southeast is the president? No. Is there anywhere the northerners buy bread cheaper? Or is there any road that they can go on?
But Governor, let me.
What place is the problem? And this problem can't be fixed if we start fixing it. While I believe, like I say every day, we need to start a process of talking about how we can restructure the place to make it more effective. I just talked about policing. There's no reason why you should not have a state police. There's no reason why federal government should be the one dealing with the issue of education. There's so many things that we can do to restructure the place and make it more effective while remaining as a true federation and running effectively.
Thank you, Rudolph. Sir, you don't.
I know he wants to ask more.
Yes. Governor.
Don't worry. I'll collect this data from you and we'll discuss.
Yeah, I'll give you his number. So
yes, I like critics because
Good.
Thank you. Makes things better.
Please help me fix this audio thing because when people ask questions, it's echoing.
Rudolph, don't worry, I'll get to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
In fact, you should do an interview with Rudolph. Sir, before we move on, I just want to acknowledge the fact that a number of viewers donated money to my YouTube account as they're watching, and I just want to thank you. Like, you didn't need to, but I really appreciate it. I also saw in the comment section some of the viewers who are complaining about the questions that I'm asking. Please, my people, you should know that Mr. Peter Obi is trying to work for us. We are supposed to employ whoever will be the president, and you would agree with me, sir, that anybody that is a president of Nigeria should be open to being held accountable.
Yes, completely. That every question is welcome.
Thank you.
That's why when you talk about Rudolph criticizing me, I say it's not criticizing. My friend.
If the man is not taking offense,
no, there's no offense.
Don't take offense on his behalf.
There's never anything you said that is offensive.
If the man is trying to be our president, we should be able to hold him accountable. You know, all these things that you are saying, sir. If you should become president in the next so years, or by next year, I'm one of the people that will be reminding you. Remember what you said when we had that interview. So please.
That was like giving you timeline. I didn't say I'll do it tomorrow.
You said in the next 5 years, electricity.
Yeah, so what am I doing there?
So I know that you guys are obedient, you are his supporter, but the man is not offended by me asking him questions. I don't even think these are tough questions. These are regular questions. So anyway, Rudolph, thank you so much. I need to let in the next person. His name is Abuchi Oy. Abuchi Oy, please, you have 2 seconds to turn on your camera and to unmute yourself and start talking. Yes, please start talking, sir.
Okay. Am I coming clear?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Move anywhere to pass.
Okay.
Okay. So, Governor, thank you for coming on for the interview. I would have been there in California, but it was a very short notice. My question is, but before that, though, I had the privilege to in
I think it's frozen.
built it.
Please,
Am I coming through?
yeah, please get to your question,
Okay.
please.
I'm coming. If you can give me a few seconds, okay? I built it from
While
ground
he's
up.
coming,
Yeah.
we can take the next person while he's coming. Ola, please, you are
I
live.
built-
Please ask your question.
Okay. I built the company from ground up
Okay.
and basically got out of Nigeria after 5 years because of really, really bad infrastructure. My vehicles were basically getting into problems, no electricity to manufacture my product. And eventually, I got out of Nigeria and I came back to the United States. Nigeria has so many low-hanging fruits of problems that we can solve.
And your questions are?
If you can let me land, I'll ask my question, okay? Infrastructure development that would also go into what you're talking about, productivity. China, right, facilitated the government of China basically inject money into Chinese companies and build them up. And that's how China was able to basically employ so many people in their countries. And they didn't quite leave the Chinese infrastructure development to the individuals or maybe the companies. So they had a lot of government innovations so that they propped up so many companies that then hired their population, right? So I think I heard you a while ago say that you're going to leave everything to private companies to
No, that's not what I said.
For employment, right?
If you listen to what I said when I was starting, I said what you need to do with those, what China did, they didn't invest money in the companies. What China did was to support micro, small businesses, which are the businesses that have become big companies now. That's what I said we're going to do. We're going to train and have access to funding for the micro, small and medium enterprises that are going to be the engine of job creation. That's what nations have done.
Okay.
They're not supporting big companies.
Okay, let me ask my question now. Let me ask my question now.
They're supporting small businesses.
Okay.
And what you talked about infrastructure is critical. That's why I said we start with the most critical, which is power. But for every investor to come to any place, the first thing you need to deal with is the issue of intangible assets of security, rule of law, because law and order. In America today, over 50% of their GDP is intangible assets of security, rule of law, and order.
I totally agree.
Yeah. If we bring that and bring power, then the more you generate more money, the more you can do infrastructure. So
would your government actually put money into mid-size and also maybe even large-size companies or small companies? Would they actually inject money into those companies so that they can actually become bigger, so that they can employ more people?
Funding. Even if we don't inject money, in Indonesia, they have a percentage of lending that went into this business at a competitive rate and support them with other facilities like now we have multi-tax, multi-this, multi. These are things we need to create an environment for them to thrive. Government supports them in so many various ways. Now in Nigeria, to be a startup, start small businesses and run it, it's not easy. You are faced with all sorts of interferences, hindrances, all sorts of everything is working against you. You need to create an environment for them to thrive.
Thank you, sir. The next person is Chuku Dalu. Please turn on your video and please go straight to the point. And then Ahana, please turn on your video because you are next.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. So my
Please,
question...
so whoever is in charge of this event tonight, they should please help bring Mr. Peter Obi's outfit to where we are so that you can go from here. You will still go back up through the crowd?
It's
Okay.
very important.
All right, sir, please, Chuku Dalu, please go ahead.
Okay, my question is, there are a lot of software engineers and programmers that leave Nigeria to different parts of the country, of the world, and they take all their expertise to develop other parts of the country. So my question is, how would you leverage tech, like upcoming technologies like blockchain and different artificial intelligence in your government to develop Nigeria, bring it to like the next level?
You know, I said it that all these people who are living today will come back. How will they come back? They will be the people that will come and invest when we create an environment. They will be the investors. They will not turn from those who left looking for a job abroad to investors that will create startups in Nigeria, do everything. It's happening. It's not how it happened in India and China.
He actually answered
The
that
biggest
question.
people that brought support to Indian tech companies and everything were Indians that left to come to America and everything, and UK. They went to invest. I lived with a neighbor who was an Indian who came to the UK, went to London School of Economics and everything. We made money in the UK, went to invest in a factory in India, and from there he's importing whatever he's doing into the UK and making money, and his people are employed. So for me, that brain drain will be a brain gain.
Thank you.
What we need is to create an environment that will make them to start looking back. There are Nigerians that have. The first foreign investor we can get are Nigerians that left yesterday. They will come back to do what it's the same thing. What we need now in Nigeria is to have a leadership.
You already answered that
that will
question.
do something.
Chuku Dalu, sorry, thank you so much. You actually answered that before. Ahana, please turn on your camera. What's your question, please? Okay, while Ahana is getting ready, Judah, please turn on your camera. What's your question, please? Okay, we don't have either of them. Osamudiame, thank you. Your camera is on. What's your question?
Good morning over there. Good evening from Nigeria. I am Osamudiame Olorutofayenti, by the grace of God, organizing director of Peter Obi Liberation Team here in Nigeria. Okay. Sir, what are the strategies and what do you have in place to bypass those who will be trying to sabotage your government and your policies when you come into the country as the president?
That may want to sabotage the voting. Just
well, let me tell you, we all collectively have to. We all collectively have to stop saboteurs from this process. Nigeria cannot continue the way it is today. So we must come collectively and say no to all forms of sabotage, whether it's by voting and by governance. When you put what you're going to do on the table, that's why I said I'll be open to the Nigerian public. They will know where this vehicle is going. They will know what is happening to it. And with this, it will be difficult. Those who are today on the opposite side will drag them yelling and crying, but they will see that everybody is going to that direction. Because we must change this.
Judah, what's your question, please?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Judah, do you have your question? If not, Dr. Grace, thank you, the first woman tonight. Please,
okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Grace. I've been living in the United States for 40 years as a teacher. I wanted to ask you, sir, I know that some of us would like to come back home, but we can't because of the security. And I thank you for saying that you will secure Nigeria for us to return. But one thing I wanted to ask is about the current corruption. What are you going to do to those people we know that are stealing? Are you just going to let them go?
Remember
Or
what
are
I
you going to
said
do
first.
something about it, sir?
Remember what I said first. The most important thing is that you stop it. If you have a store and people are stealing, I said it before, you don't need to close the store and start chasing those who are stealing.
No, but the ones that
Respond.
are stealing now, sir, are you going to try and get what they've stolen back from them?
For me, first and foremost, is that I concentrate my energy to ensure that the stealing is stopped. Then, of course, gradually, if there's a where we see obvious, we're not going to be into, blackmail, anything. We see that the obvious places where somebody has done something wrong.
Okay.
We try to the rule of law. The law must be applicable. Proper investigation, proper rule of law, and everything. Even if there's a place we negotiate and move on. But what is important to me is that we must stop it. And it can be stopped. And
this is for the past and present.
I was governor of Anambra State for 8 years. We were able to stop it. At least, if not 100%, by over 75%.
Okay, great.
Oh,
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry Mr. Peter Obi needs to go. But
we must bring back and do this sometime. I have to come.
So are you making a promise? Sir, there are so many people that want
Yes, I'm making a promise. We can do this by Zoom, can't we?
I know we can do this remotely, but would you take people's questions if we
Yes.
Okay, so
we can do it remotely. We can organize it and have 2 hours uninterrupted.
So you're promising 2 hours?
Yes, I'll give it to you. Yes.
All right.
I give you my contact.
I'm
We
really
negotiate
sorry,
it
everyone.
with time and we'll deal with it.
Sir, you agreed to this before I release him for you?
Yeah.
You will let
I apologize. I just came into California and my flight was delayed for 2 hours, so we lost the 2 hours. And I came straight from that long stay at the airport for over 3 hours.
Even the way you sound, you don't sound too good.
No, but
I wanted to thank you though, because you wanted to take a nap when I said haba.
Yes.
We've been waiting since morning. I said I will bring my camera into where you are napping because
I would have loved it. It would have been better.
So thank you for doing this, despite how you were feeling. But before I let you go, you have promised that you will come back on the show, because I will announce that
I'll come back on the show. Not
come
immediately.
back on the show.
Maybe in a few months' time.
In a few months' time.
But I'll come. Of course, I'm going to start the election campaign soon. So we're going to be everywhere.
So you promise to come back on the show. That's the only way that I will let you go, because I had some fun questions that I was also going to ask. But hey, the devil is a liar. I will still get to do this. So I want to thank you for your time. I also want to thank all the people that joined us. But sir, what about just these 2 people that are already there?
Okay,
Tosin, real quick, can you, as well as Remy Pose, please say what you want to say real quick.
Thank you very much, Adeola. Thank you for always engaging Nigerian politicians and then making sure that things are being done properly. Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. You're very tired with them. Thank you so much. Now, going to the issue of refinery in Nigeria, from your comments yesterday in Canada, you said about, things have been stolen quite well. And now, a country that has 2 refineries that are not working, and then you have an indigene, a citizen of that country, building his own refinery. Now, what are you going to do to ensure that these things that we have work? Now,
so your question before you go forward is that the country's refineries are not working, NNPC refinery, but now you have the citizen Dangote building a refinery. What would
he even said yesterday that how can a country have a refinery
are not working.
People are working in that refinery. They are being
And
paid
we're not
salary.
producing anything.
And
So do you want him to address that real quick? Don't forget that he's being generous.
Yes,
Sorry.
So let me be honest with you.
Address that, sir.
There's no reason why those refineries are not working. The only reason why they're not working is human being. It's human factor. It can be dealt with. You can actually turn it around. Like I said, do whatever is possible to make it work. And I assure you to work. I've seen things like that not work in Anambra State when I went there to be governor. And we made it work. It will work. Nigeria within 5 years must be able to refine crude in Nigeria.
Within 5 years, our own
we will
refine
crude in Nigeria.
Regardless
we have no reason to importing.
Well, I'm very sure that all of these they are on record, and
That's why. Remember what I said.
So he said within 5 years, our electricity would be.
Remember what I said before. Bring everybody who wants to be president. Let them not talk through proxies. Let's listen to them. I'm going around the world preaching and talking and giving assurances of what will happen with stipulated time. Not over promising.
So really,
if those refineries are not going to work, I want to assure Nigerians that we'll be able to have through private partnership facilities that will work, where we will refine our crude within 5 years.
So within 5 years, our refineries would work. Thank you, Tosin, for your time. The last person that he's taking is Real Mick Boss. Please.
Yeah, Real Mike Boss. I'm speaking from Torino, Italy. Your Excellency, sir. I want to just quickly ask this question about the elections, the voting rights. How are we gonna extend the voting rights to the diaspora, so we living right here, to also vote?
I said it in Canada
because in Kenya,
I said it in Canada there's no way Kenya and other countries will have Ghana and everybody have their diaspora voting, and it will not happen in Nigeria.
Yes, that is what we are saying, because we are supposed to vote.
This is the last election diasporans are not going to vote.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. And one last question, sir. One last question, sir. Sir, please, sir. How are we sure that, because you were formerly a PDP member, sir, so are we sure that you will not go back to that PDP eventually when you succeed to be the president of Nigeria? How are we sure you're not going to bring back the old party, the PDP that has actually scattered Nigeria?
Let me tell you, today, I tell people, the problem of Nigeria is caused not just by PDP. We now have two parties that have been there. We need the two of them to go away. And we'll start a new order.
Okay, sir.
This new order will be led by people who are committed to the future of Nigeria. And I want you to take note of that. We are not going to let Nigeria down. I will not be using my time, my energy, my resources to run around the world to fail. I pray to God every day, do not allow me to disappoint these young Nigerians that have hope and put their faith in me. God will not allow me.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Adeola.
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you too. So,
I assure you that I'll be back.
Okay, so he has promised to be back on the show. But before he leaves, thank you so much, everybody that joined us. Please, if you're yet to subscribe, please subscribe, because he's promising to come back. That is how you will know if he comes back on the show. We have to let him go, but thank you. I really appreciate the time you took for this interview. All right, guys, that's everything we have for today. Until next time, I'm going to see you all later. Peace out.
Thank you.